What is good, y'all? It's your boy Ty, back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we are going to be ranking some of the top point guards today in NBA 2K22 MyTEAM. Now, I think we do got 57 guys on this list. Spend about 30 seconds per player, get through this in under 30 minutes is our goal. Now, a lot of these endgame players are going to have the same SIG, same animations, and so we're not going to spend a ton of time on those cards. If you don't see every specific card, it's because I'm not going to include every J.R. Smith. I'm not going to include, every card for that specific player. I'm only including some of the specific top point guards in my team. We'll start off here with Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis is a kind of a letdown for how good I thought he would be. Now, is Anthony Davis B tier when you compare him to everybody on this list? I think that's a fair spot for him because we do have a lot of not very good cards. Is he, a top half of the point guards on this list? I think so, and that's where it divides. This is the top half. This is the bottom half, and I think AD does scrape in that top half. In an unpopular opinion, I still think the flash glitch Ben Simmons does as well. If you're asking me who I'm more comfortable running today, the Swish Anthony Davis or the flash glitch Ben Simmons, I'd probably lean the flash glitch Ben Simmons. Now, it's not me saying the glitch Ben Simmons is as good as AD, but I'm just sitting here saying I'd be just as comfortable running the card. And I know it's not popular, but still, to this day, I love flash glitch Ben Simmons. And I'm going to put the invincible Ben Simmons in A tier. Not quite S tier, because there's not going to be that many point guards in S tier. But I definitely do think he belongs in that S tier of point guards. There's not going to be that many point guards that are as tall as Ben Simmons that can do what he can do. Cade Cunningham, also an A tier point guard. Gives you a little bit more as far as playmaking compared to Ben Simmons. Now, do I like him quite as much as Ben Simmons? I don't think so. But he's got a lot going for him. I feel like if Cade would have came out just that little bit earlier, maybe just had that little bit of better release, he would be really hyped up. The problem is, neither of those things did come true. That is why he is A tier. I might have to move some guys around in B tier, but this is where I'm at right now. And I think this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to move the flash glitch Ben Simmons down. I'm going to have to. Not that I want to, but I think this looks pretty good. Having Melo right in there with Anthony Davis. I don't like Melo as much as Ben Simmons. I actually prefer Cade Cunningham to Melo just because I do not love the Carmelo Anthony release. But I do think he belongs in B tier. Decent player model, going to defend at a very high level. Clyde Drexler for today's game is C tier. Still going to have a really solid release. The jump shot 5 release is really good in my team. It's just outside of that, does he provide that much? I personally don't think so. I'm actually moving him to D tier for the time being. Danny Granger, he's the definition of what a C tier point guard looks like. I think he's on that same level as a flash glitch Ben Simmons, where he's not, the best caliber of point guard in the game. I think Melo and AD definitely have that step above him, but good size, decent jump shot 29 release if you like it. And I think he can provide a lot to you guys on the court. Invincible Derrick Rose, another C tier point guard. I think he is a below average point guard, but I think he does one thing well really on the court, and that is move. His movement offensively, as well as having a good release, helps the card out quite a bit. I feel like we got a lot of the middle tier, and I'm going to put in one of the lower tier guys in Invincible Isaiah Thomas in F tier. Now, is Invincible Isaiah Thomas as bad as some guys on this list? No. And so maybe I'm going to scrape him into D tier, but if I do that, I'm going to have to move Clyde Drexler up. An F tier caliber player would be like Ja Morant, who isn't even close to being as good as Isaiah Thomas. And that's why I don't think IT is an F tier. If you use IT, you're going to have a lot more success than if you would go out there with Ja Morant. And so that's where I'm at right now. It's just tough for me to have Clyde Drexler in C tier as well. Because then you got a guy like Devin Booker, and I don't love Devin Booker. I'm on the verge of C or B. Because my whole thing is this. He's 6'6". Anthony Davis and Melo both give you a little bit more than D-Book, but D-Book does have the cheesy jump shot. Because, I know this is kind of, I went back and forth with it, but because of how good he is on current gen and that release, I'm going B tier for D-Book. Domantas Sabonis up next. I hate this Sabonis Ben Simmons comparison, but I get it. And I gotta agree with it. I mean, what does Ben Simmons really give you over Domantas Sabonis? I don't think it's much. And so at the end of the day, I would, and I'm moving Ben Simmons up. I like this a little bit more because it's like I like Ben Simmons more than Sabonis, but I think Sabonis does belong in that C tier. I like this quite a bit. I like where we're at right here. Sabonis, a tall, great budget option, just not quite as good as Ben Simmons. Dwayne Wade, invincible in B tier. Dwayne Wade, hero in C tier. I think this is a perfect example of how I love Dwayne Wade, but the invincible is definitely a step above the hero. The hero Dwayne Wade is still very solid in that C tier category. It's just the fact that that invincible is going to give you that little bit more, and you can have that little bit more success with the card. Again, we have 0 S tier players, and we've already completed one kind of, we've already got through, what, 13, 15 players so far. So, I mean, it's going to be tough and stingy at that S tier category. Dyson Daniels, an easy addition into A tier, and right now the best player at A tier. If you're on current gen specifically, Dyson Daniels is super, super good. I'm going to plug this card in right now because I don't even think the cards are a comparison. Dyson Daniels is a way better version than Manu Ginobili. DBG is hyping Manu Ginobili up to the moon. For what? I mean, what does he give you over Dyson Daniels? The card's not quite as good. And I'm just going to be real honest with you guys. Manu Ginobili is overpriced, whereas Dyson Daniels is a solid budget option. I like what I got here with Dyson at A and Manu at B. The reason I went right to Manu is because they both have that Dante Exum release. Gary Payton with the Evo, C tier. That's where I got him. With the Evo, he's still not above B tier. It's that simple. I don't mind Gary Payton. And if you do have him Evo'd, he does become really solid with a really good release. The problem is, we've seen so many endgame cards. We've seen so many invincible cards. Just look at this next tier. How many of these players is Gary Payton better than? Maybe 1 or 2? I mean, that's the tough part when it comes down to some of the best point guards in my team. Giannis Antetokounmpo, our first addition into S tier. Jump shot 3, which I don't love, but it's okay. Jump shot 3 is okay. Gonna be the best point guard defensive player in probably the entire game. Can he create his own shot? I don't necessarily know, so you're going to need to run a secondary ball handler with him. But if I did not have Giannis in S tier, straight up honest with you guys, I wouldn't be knowing what I'm talking about. Giannis is an easy addition into S tier. Swish Giannis, I'm struggling here because is Swish Giannis as good as Ben Simmons? I personally don't believe so. I think Ben Simmons gives you more than Swish Giannis. Now, is Swish Giannis better than Anthony Davis? Yes. I'm going to throw Swish Giannis at the low part of A tier because I think he does scrape that A tier. But I don't love the card. When I use Giannis, it was like, okay. And part of it's I like 2 ball handlers that can move. And so I don't play like some people do, you know, with that much height at the guard position. But he does do a lot for you. You compare Giannis and Invincible Ben, the cards are really close in talent level. Jaden Ivey, easy addition into C tier. I think, you know, wherever you got Derrick Rose, Gary Payton, D-Wade, that's where Jaden Ivey belongs. Jaden Ivey, he can move. His release is really good. He honestly does have quite a bit going for him. He's just not super tall, only 6'4". But when I use Jaden Ivey or when I've played against him, the card has been really solid. Jalen Rose, a lot of people like the card, but he's not higher than C tier. I mean, I got him on my no money spent, I think a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. And I don't hate him, but is he as good as anybody at B tier? No. I would take every point guard at B tier over him, and I don't even know who I'd prefer between him and a guy like Hero Dwayne Wade. I really don't know who I would take in that scenario. Endgame James Harden. I think you gotta put him at A tier. I think you have to because of how well he moves. And you guys might be like, what, over Manu? I prefer James Harden to Manu Ginobili. A lot of people might disagree with that, but I do. I think James Harden gives you more on the court than Manu Ginobili. And you guys might be like, what? Well, Manu Ginobili's player build is not great in general. And so I know he's an inch taller, but the height difference really doesn't matter there. Harden, I think, as an overall card, gives you more than Manu Ginobili. Harden going into A tier. We're getting through these pretty quickly. Johnny Davis, easy addition into C tier. And I like Johnny Davis. C tier is a tier that I do think is below average for the best point guards in the game. But it's not a bad tier. I mean, you can run every player at C tier and get by with it. D tier and lower, it's like cards, okay, I would definitely not recommend running. And we'll get to some more cards there pretty soon. Josh Giddey's another tough one. I feel like an Evo version of Josh Giddey, is he B tier? I don't think so. I don't. And because I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to reorganize my list. Some cards are going to get moved down, and you're probably not going to love it, but it's just going to be the way it's got to be. But I can't move anybody down from C tier. I might have to, C tier might just be overloaded, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's got to be, because I can't put a guy like Josh Giddey on the same tier as a guy like Anthony Davis. I just simply cannot do that. J.R. Smith, endgame card up next. Probably A tier. This J.R. Smith, B tier probably. I know I'm in the minority by saying I like jump shot 49 more than base 3. I know I'm in the minority. Most people are not going to agree with that. I also like the Kobe size up more than the Trey or the Steph, whatever they gave him. Now, in my opinion, the Origin JR is my favorite JR. This is where all the other JRs outside of the endgame JR would be. For me, though, look, I get it. He's still not higher than B tier, but you can't go any lower than B tier for the Origin J.R. Smith. That would be just straight up disrespectful. If you're looking for a card to use in clutch time, triple threat online, trust me, J.R. Smith Origin card is absolutely elite. Invincible Kawhi. This is the best Kawhi in the entire game. Is an easy addition into S tier. This is a Kawhi that keeps his release, gets better dribble sigs, and at the shooting guard position, trust me when I say there is no better shooting guard, in my opinion, in the entire game. I mean, you can maybe argue KD, T-Mac with set shot 25, and I could hear you out and maybe agree with you on that. I'm just saying, as far as a pure catch and shoot release, there's nobody, I don't think, in the entire game that's going to green more shots than Kawhi Leonard. Such an easy to time release, and that's for everybody, not even just, the top guys. That's for everybody in my team. I'm absolutely in love with Kawhi. If you want to play him at that point guard position, you definitely can do so. He'll be on the shooting guard list as well, though. I just got done talking about KD at the point guard position. I don't love him there, but you got to throw him in S tier. Again, I don't love KD at the point guard position. I definitely prefer the shooting guard version of KD with set shot 25. But if you want to run KD at the point guard position, he's got to be an S tier point guard. Kobe Bryant, I'm saying it, S tier. I've seen enough out of Kobe Bryant on current agenda to put him at S tier. I have. And a lot of you guys might be like, Ty, what? How is Kobe Bryant ahead of J.R. Smith? I don't necessarily have an answer to it, because when you compare the cards, and let's just do it. Let's just take a quick moment to do it. And you compare the endgame Kobe Bryant to the endgame J.R. Smith. Here's what you got. Same height. Kobe has 1 inch longer wingspan. Animations. JR's got Rudy upper. Kobe's got Kobe upper. Both got Trey. I mean, they're literally basically the same cards. But, I mean, if I want to separate them, then this is what it's going to have to be. JR could be an S tier. Maybe I'll move him up there. But I do slightly prefer Kobe Bryant to J.R. Smith. Invincible Kobe going into B tier. I don't care about it, guys. Everybody wants to slander this Kobe Bryant card. He's not great, but he's definitely not terrible in my team. And I'm convinced on that. He's not great, but he's not as horrible as people are going to make him out to be. I still love his release. I know his dribble style is not great, but I do not hate this Kobe Bryant in my team. Point guard LaMelo Ball. Here's where things are going to get tough. If I only want 5 players at S tier, it's going to get really tough. For now, I'm just going to drag them all to S tier, and we'll figure it out at the end. LaMelo Ball, though, 6'8", can do it all on the basketball court. It's kind of that hybrid. He moves still pretty decent, but defends at a great rate because he's 6'8". Pretty big fan of the card. Invincible LaMelo, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm putting him at B tier. And you guys might hate that too. You guys might think LaMelo deserves more respect than that. But to me, in my opinion, I just do not think LaMelo, as far as dribble sigs and other stuff, gives you enough to put him at that A tier level. Larry J up next, a perfect addition into C tier. Wherever Danny Granger is, has to be where Larry Johnson belongs. You can't separate those two. I know they're different. They're going to give you their own pros and cons. But to separate Danny Granger and Larry Johnson would just be absolutely foolish to do. King James up next. We know where I'm going. S tier. We'll figure it out because I don't want this many players at S tier. But to say LeBron James doesn't belong there is absolutely bonkers. That is absolutely crazy to say. Definitely an S tier point guard. Lonzo, D tier. It's that simple. Lonzo, D tier. you know what? I might move some things around, and I just don't know how to do it. I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna move some people around, and you guys might not like this, but I'm gonna move some people around. Take it for what it's worth, man. But I am going to move people around for this stage of 2K. I just don't think we can have everybody in the C tier like I've had. And I think this looks a little bit better. Again, we'll keep moving people around, but I do think this looks a little bit better. Problem here is with Luka Doncic. Both of those cards are S tier too. And we still got Michael Jordans to get to. But how am I supposed to not have each and every one of these cards at S tier? I mean, basically all the endgame cards are the same. Invincible Kawhi has to be S tier, so what am I supposed to do at S tier? I don't know. Obviously, the Invincible Luka is better than the Signature Series Luka, but they both belong in S tier. Get this scrub Magic Johnson into F tier. This card is a bona fide scrub. Now, he's B tier, but he's not higher than B tier. I will die on a hill by saying Cade Cunningham is better than Endgame Magic. I don't care. Endgame Magic might be the worst endgame card in my team. I literally don't think I've ever been cooked by this card. So overrated in my team. If you run the card, I'm sorry, because he is definitely overrated. Playoffs Marcus Smart for this stage is F tier. I'm sorry. Gary Payton, Clyde, Sabonis are all better than Marcus Smart. He's not great in my team. Endgame Michael Jordan, A tier. I don't care. You guys can get as mad as me as you want. Endgame Michael Jordan is A tier. This Michael Jordan and this Michael Jordan, they're both S tier. So say you can get mad at me as much as you want. Out of position Michael Jordan, Invincible Michael Jordan are both better than Endgame Michael Jordan. They both move better. They both have better releases. I know the Endgame MJ has 80 Hall of Fame badges, but it comes to a point where dribble sigs, releases matter more. MJ, the Invincible and out of position MJ they're better than the Endgame Michael Jordan. I said it in my gameplay video, said it in what MJ to get, and I'm sticking with that today. Out of position Yao. Look, I'm throwing him in C tier. And you guys don't have to agree with it, but what I'm going to say is this. Why in the world would you run out of position Yao Ming? That doesn't make sense. If somebody runs Yao Ming against me, I am pressing them and they're going to struggle getting the ball up the court. When you run Yao at point guard or shooting guard, you sacrifice the second best center in the game. It just doesn't make any sense to me why you would do that. That's absolutely foolish to run Yao at point guard or shooting guard. He's a C tier player. Nicholas Batum, he's a B tier caliber or D tier caliber player. Is he great? No. Is he better than IT Marcus Smart? I think so. And I'm going to probably have to move Lonzo Ball up as well. I don't love Lonzo though. I do think he's barely scraping D tier. We got a lot of rough cards left. Thank goodness, because I can't put that many more players in S tier. Jokic, A tier. I don't think Nikola Jokic is as good as everybody at S tier. And you guys can disagree if you want to, but that's my final opinion. I just don't. I don't see it. I saw some TikToker put Jokic as a top 5 point guard the other day, and I about lost my mind because it just doesn't make sense to me. The card can't move. He's got a mid-Ray Allen base. I just don't see it with Jokic. If you guys got him, he's an A tier point guard, but I don't see any higher there for Jokic. Oscar Robertson, C tier for this stage. He's not great. I still do like the jump shot 49 release. He's still got a lot going for him, but all I can do is put him at C tier. Pistol Pete Maravich, another C tier caliber player. I can't go any higher with him. If you like Pistol Pete and want to hoop with him, you can do what you got to do, but I just don't think I can go any higher than C tier. This Russell Westbrook is an absolute garbage, man, in F tier. Shea, not very good. Throwing him in D tier. Again, a lot of people might like running Shea. This Russ is horrible, but I'm not going to sit here and gas cards that are not great. Shaq, I'm throwing Shaq into B tier. Shaq fills his void, man. If you want a tall point guard, run Shaq. Don't run Yao. I mean, it's that simple. Run Shaq over Yao. I think he gives you a little bit more. Plus, Shaq doesn't really have that many. Unless you want to use the end game card, he doesn't have, you know, a cheap power forward card that's just absolutely souped like Yao does at the center position. So I do think Shaq is more valuable than a guy like Yao at the point guard position. This Steph, F tier. This Steph, D tier, I guess. I mean, I don't like this Steph, but I guess I throw him in D tier. Terrence Ross, D tier. Not good. Terrence Ross will say it himself. He's not good. Tim Hardaway, horrible. If you grinded for Tim Hardaway, man, I feel so badly for you. He is horrible. Zach LaVine, I'm going to throw LaVine here in F tier. I guess LaVine probably scrapes D tier. I don't like the card, though. I mean, I want to throw him in F tier, but maybe because of his movement and stuff, he can scrape D tier. We've gotten through these cards pretty fast, but it's easy when all of the cards are basically the same. I'm going to do this. You guys can hate me if you want to. Invincible Tracy McGrady is better than Endgame T-Mac. You guys can hate me if you want to, but I like Tracy McGrady's release more than Jump Shot 3. This is my list for a reason, and so I'm doing that. Now we got to make our cuts, because I only want 5 players at S tier. So if you thought this video was over, buckle up, because now is when the video gets fun. Okay, so the obvious ones have to be Luka, Invincible MJ, Kawhi. I feel like those are my top 3. Unquestioned, I feel like these are my top 3. And you want to know what's crazy? None of those are endgame cards. So for now, I'm going to move this Luka down, this Michael Jordan down, and I'm going to move Tracy McGrady down. Because of me doing that, I'm also going to move some other players down 1 tier. Being Cade Cunningham, I think he's the worst player at A tier. I'm also moving this Giannis down. I just don't think he quite belongs there. Moving Ben Simmons down. I'm going to move James Harden down. I like this. I want the top of the top to be the best of the best, and so I like where I'm at just that little bit more. So now is when things get intriguing, okay? Because we got to make 3 more cuts to S tier. So between the endgame cards, it's Giannis, KD, Kobe, LaMelo, and Bron. Who would I prefer? Giannis has to stay. No. You know what? Because I like Giannis at a different position, he's moving down. Because I like KD at a different position, he's moving down. And because I like Bron at a different position, he's moving down. That's easy enough to do. I like all 3 of those guys at a different position, and so they're all going to move down. That's an easy solution to figure out to fill that A tier, and that way we only got 5 guys at S tier. This one I feel like is going to be pretty controversial having Kobe Bryant at S tier, but from what I've seen on current gen, the dude can absolutely cook. I want to know your thoughts on this tier list point guard position down below in the comments, guys. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you are new, and as always, man, I love you guys, and have a blessed day.